Well, good morning again. This is Marvin L. Storm, and we're on the trail to chat about some things that I've been looking at and thinking about recently. So I'm going to talk a little bit about today about the whole idea and concept of having coaches or advisors to consult with you as you position your company and grow and scale your company. One of the things that I'm a big sports fan, and I watch a lot of football, probably too much, and I guess my commitment this year is I'm going to kind of scale back on that because sometimes I get obsessive on that. But one of the things I've been thinking about recently is the importance of coaches in your lives. An entrepreneur, have a mindset that they're going to do it all themselves. They're going to try to figure it out and not really rely on others because they're independent. They can get this done themselves. I think that's a huge mistake. Recently I was chatting with some folks that have a really great concept and they're growing their company, and it's 3 founders. They've had their ups and downs over the years, but they've kind of got it dialed in right now. And they were thinking a little bit about what they're going to do as far as putting together an advisory team and perhaps a formal board of directors. And so they reached out to me. I've known them for a number of years, and they've reached out to me, and we were talking about getting coaching and putting together a board of advisors or perhaps a formal board. And after probably a couple hour discussion over a period of a week or two, we set a follow-up time to get back together. And they really looked at what they were thinking of doing, and they really concluded that it was really too early. And I could tell, because I know these folks, is that one of the reasons that they were considering that is because if you put together a board or an advisory group, you're going to have to pay them. People, unless you get mentors that you know personally, if you take up a lot of their time, these people's time is valuable. And so one of the things that they decided to do is that was going to cost them money to have someone on a formal board. And so they decided that they would just forego that. They'd also probably have to give up equity to get someone on the board, some advisory shares they'd have to give up or something of that nature. And they decided, that they really didn't want to do that. I could tell in reading between the lines and their body language that that was really what they were thinking of, and that they said that we'll do this a year or two down the road. And we had a discussion, and I really have thought about that since, and I think that this is probably one of the more crucial strategic decisions that they're making that's probably going to end up costing them a ton of money. What I think that they will end up doing is squandering a lot of opportunity, going down a lot of paths that they probably shouldn't go. And it's kind of that entrepreneurs get into this mindset. They're so much involved in the trenches on a day-to-day basis that they really don't understand and kind of figure out that they need someone up on the hill. They need someone that's looking over the vista. They need someone that can see on the other side of the hill what there is, because they've been there and they've done that. And they need someone like that in their corner. And they just didn't want to spend the relatively modest amount of money to bring at least one, maybe a couple of advisors on their board to help them with that process. And I just think that's a huge, huge mistake, because, when you get so much into the trenches, you make decisions based on a very limited, you become myopic, and you make decisions in a reactionary mode, and you make decisions that have long-term devastating and sometimes significant implications down the road. And early in a company, you make a decision to go right instead of left, and those decisions end up costing you just so much time and money. And as we look at that type of decision, I really felt that the decision that they made was short-sighted. I think it's going to end up costing them a lot of money. But this is their company, and they will make the decisions how they believe that would be best for them, at that time. So what I want you to think about as you are looking at growing your company, and thinking about a strategic exit at some point down the road, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, or whatever your exit window is, what I want you to think about is the value of an advisor or a coach to help you with that process. Whether it's a formal board of directors or someone you bring in that's just an advisor that you pay in a coaching-like environment, whatever that situation is, I think you need to seriously consider it, because so often when you're growing a company and thinking about exiting it, you really haven't been down that road before. You really haven't been able to understand the implications of decisions that you make today. You don't understand the value of someone that's been down that road before. And you need to surround yourselves with kind of your advisory team. And that may include an M&A advisor, it may include a transaction attorney, a wealth manager, financing people. You need to really have that type of, team in your corner to give you advice and input. And that will pay off double, triple, quadruple, maybe even a 10x type of multiplication when you're looking at making those strategic decisions early in your career. On my podcast, Business Exit Stories, there are dozens. There are just tons of stories about how people have 10x their business, because of some of the early decisions they made in positioning their company for an exit down the road. So that's kind of the big takeaway of what I want you to think about here today, is that as you consider your company and what you're doing and how you're scaling it, and you're down in the trenches and you have your nose to the grindstone, you really need to have those around you that are up on the hill, whether it's a formal board or just advisors that are giving you input. And if you're able to do that, you'll make much better decisions now and in the future. And so that's my big takeaway, is don't underestimate the value of a coach or an advisor in your business. So this is Marvin L. Storm, kind of wrapping it up for the day with a big takeaway. Get your advisors in line, and I'll see you on the next episode.